Hi everyone, here I'm going to show you an example by using a different data set, how to run OLS in Excel. Now, as I said, first you need to prepare the data, and the data should be ready for regression. But for the course year evaluation data, as we say, only two variables are in numerical format, the rest are actually in characters or strings. So let's take the example for this one. All right, so this is ask how satisfied you are, right? So from 0 to 100. So 100 means completely satisfied, and 0 means not satisfied at all. So let's just rename this as or you can create another. Rather, let's create another sheet, right? Because we don't want to mess up with the original data set. So let's say, okay, I'm going to copy and paste, right? And then I'm going to rename this one because this is too long. So how about let's use SAT for satisfaction, right? So this is a satisfaction level. Now, basically, we want to understand what kind of factors influence students' satisfaction level of a particular course, right? So this will be our dependent variable. Now, let's say if we are interested in the level of challenginess about the course and how that's going to influence students' satisfaction level. So the next thing you are going to do is you copy and paste this one, right? So this is our main independent variable. This is too long. Let's change it into challenge, right? So we understand this. That's okay. All right, let's say challenge. So as previously mentioned, first, of course, you need to recode the data, right? Recoding means you are going to label all these values, right, into numbers. Use number to represent these values. So let's take a quick look at all these values. It says neutral, moderately challenging, slightly unchallenging, very challenging, and we can reasonably predict there will be another option called very unchallenging or completely unchallenging, something like that, right? So that will be 5 different numbers, right, from 1 to 5. So that means it's ordered, right? It's an ordinal variable. So if we recode it from 1 to 5, with 1 being very unchallenging and 5 being very challenging. All right, so then numerical will be 3, moderately challenging will be 4, slightly unchallenging 2, moderately challenging 4, very challenging 5, moderately challenging, that's 4, neutral is 3, 4, 2, 4, 4, 5, 4, 5, right? So yeah, so take a quick look. We probably realize that most people actually feel this is somehow challenging, a challenging course. All right, so then let's see if there's any significant relationship between challenginess and satisfaction level. So again, we are going to click data, use data analysis, go check regression, select OK. Now, our dependent variable here is from A1 to A17, right? A1 to A17, right? So this is our dependent variable, right? Our independent variable here is from C1 to C17, right? So because we are using challenginess to predict one's satisfaction level of a class. All right, so let's here we are just going to say let's put it F1, right? Because as long as it's far away from the original data set, you'll probably find right. Don't mess up with the original data. All right, again, we are going to check 3 different things, right? So first, the challenginess, the coefficients between challenginess and the satisfaction level. All right, let me highlight this as usual. All right. So challenge p-value as well as coefficients. All right. So let's first look at the coefficients, which means 1 unit change in challengingness going to result in how many unit change in y, which is satisfaction level, right? So what does 1 unit change in challengingness mean? Now this is actually not that easy for you to interpret, right? 1 unit change could mean from moderately challenging to very challenging, or could mean from neutral to moderately challenging, or could mean slightly unchallenging to neutral, right? So that means 1 unit change, all right? But the idea is that you feel more challenging, right? Then you are more satisfied with the course. So that's the regression results tell us, right? But we also want to check the p-value to see if it's less than 0.05. Now, only in this case, we discovered that this is actually larger than 0.05, right? Which means there's no significant relationship between challengingness and the satisfaction level. So the idea is, okay, then if you only look at the coefficients, you might say, oh, more challenging. If you perceive the course is more challenging, you are more likely to feel satisfied with the course. However, the relationship is not statistically significant, which means there's basically no relationship, which means you can't say you feel more challenging, you are more likely to be satisfied. There's no such relationship. At least statistically, they are not significant. Right? So we are not going to interpret this. Right? Generally speaking, there's no relationship between these two. All right, so finally, let's take a look at the R-square. So this is close to 4% of the variation can be explained by the challengingness. Now, we won't say this is a very bad fit, right? Because this is only one independent variable. Now, your course satisfaction level can be influenced by so many different factors. For instance, your gender, your religious beliefs, whether or not you have a full-time job, or how many years you spend in Grand Valley, etc., etc. So, but you only use one independent variable, which is the challengingness, the level of challengingness, and to predict your satisfaction level, and it can explain 4% of the total variation. I won't say this is very bad, but that's not good enough, obviously, and especially when you consider the p-value is larger than 0.05, which means this is not statistically significant relationship, right? So generally we would say, oh, that's probably not a very, very good model because the relationship is not significant, and it only explains like 4% of the total variation, right? Okay, so this is how you're going to do simple linear regression or run OLS in Excel. Only this time we use the course evaluation data. You can download the data and play with data and to see if you can get the same results. Now, the only thing I wanted to emphasize again here is you need to prepare the data. So before you can run any regression, right, you need to translate these characters, these strings, into numbers by recoding or labeling them, right? Basically means assign a number to each of the string, right? So here 3 represents neutral, 4 represents moderately challenging, 2 represents slightly unchallenging, 5 represents very challenging, and obviously, as you can see, 1 is actually represents very unchallenging is 1, but nobody selected that option. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right? It exists, only no one selected that option. So when you're coding them, you need to make a reasonable prediction, right? All right, I hope this video helps you to understand better how you can run OLS in Excel. All right, please let me know if you have any further questions.